I'm full of stories, normally me, but now I've come to think of it, I can't think of any. Or ones that are maybe not appropriate for live television.
Do one of those.
What were the non-appropriate ones?
Yeah.
I'll tell a tale of when I had a real job. I was fresh from university, see, full of life, hope, exuberance and fresh energy, willing to learn like a sponge. Sponge. Learn like a sponge. I got a real life job. My family were proud. My auntie bought me some new work clothes so I didn't look like I was wearing the same thing every day. I didn't have enough tights, so I'd go to work with the holes in the back and pretend I hadn't noticed, but I had. One day I was editing a video for quite a well-known rugby player, quite a sexy one too, I have to admit. And I was with a television presenter who we all know the name of. Shall I say who I was with?
I don't know. Yeah.
I was sitting with Andy Peters to the right of me, and Nick Kennedy, a very sexy rugby player, to the left of me, and I was making his show reel. And I was getting some feedback from him on what I'd done, and we had kind of finished the meeting, and we stood up, and during that discussion I realised that I desperately needed to fart. However, I was doing my best in my new proper job not to fart in front of them. We stood up and summarised the discussion of which we'd just had sitting down. And I was so desperate to let this gas out of my derriere. I convinced myself it would be fine. It would come out, but it wouldn't smell, and it definitely wouldn't make a sound. However, I was wrong. I released the gas, and it was very loud, and it was very smelly. I didn't tell you, however, I was in an open plan office with about 60 other individuals silently working at their desks, everyone listening into our conversation. So I passed wind loudly with Andy Peters to the left of me and Nick Kennedy to the right. Neither of them acknowledged the fart. It just reset the conversation, so we started again. Nobody moved as the smell erupted, continued up from my derriere up into our facial spaces. We all stood there, still pretending that it hadn't happened, while my stench invaded all of our orifices. Finally, the conversation came to an end. I ran into the toilet, not because I had shat myself, but because I needed to hide away from the reality of which had just come out of my bottom. I will never forget that day, and you will never. And I do wonder if Nick Kennedy ever thinks of me, or whether he thinks of a more lovely time that we discussed, or whether it was the only thing he remembers of me as me farting very badly in his presence. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm not sorry, Andy, though. You can have my fart. So there you go. There's story time with Thunder Tunnel. This wig is very, very itchy. I thought by the time I'd told this tale, Ricardo would be here to play the DJ set, but I think he's listening to Boris Johnson in the other room. And oh, he's here! He's here! Right, I'm glad I don't have to open up anymore and tell some more embarrassing stories, but I will be back tomorrow with probably less shit filter than I have today, and I will tell you some more tales from my wee little life. In the meantime, Ricardo, please come to the decks and save me